Welcome to Fearless Mom. We are so excited to wrap up this semester. I cannot believe that this is actually the last lecture of 2015. But you know what that means, guys? The holidays are quickly approaching. Come on, let's get excited. And if you are watching us online, we want to tell you, before we go any further, we are cheering you on. We think you're awesome. If you are one of those online moms that we met in Nashville, thank you so much for making us feel welcome. We continue to cheer you on, and we just want to remind you, you're not alone. There's a group here praying for you and believing in you. God has called you to something great, this calling of motherhood, and our prayer is that you feel our arms around you, that you feel our support. So let's give our online moms one more bit of encouragement. Now, for those of y'all who know me, you know that I love the holidays. I do. I mean, I get very excited. I don't know why, actually, but I do. I get so excited, but I understand that when I say that the holidays are approaching, that's not good news for everyone in the room. And so some of us are excited because we get to see our college-age kids. And when your kids are in college, they come home for like several weeks. And we are beside ourselves at our house. And so some of you, though, maybe when I say the holidays are approaching, you start to feel stress. It's not an exciting time for you. It's actually a very stressful time for you. Perhaps when you think of the holidays, I think of the meals that we eat. And maybe you think the holidays are, the same turkey, the same dressing with a side of drama and family excitement. I get that. And some of you actually, maybe when we are approaching the holidays, you have sadness that you deal with because holidays remind you of maybe a loved one that you lost, or maybe your life is not going the way that you wish it were. And so the holidays just remind you of that. Or maybe the holidays are just so hectic for you and you feel guilty because you want to enjoy them. You know that as mom, you carry the holiday torch for your family and you want to enjoy them, but it's never worked out the way that you planned it. Wherever you are today, wherever you are on that spectrum, my prayer is that by the end of today, your mind is opened up, your eyes and ears are open, your heart is open to say, God, I know that you have given us an opportunity. The holidays are an opportunity to celebrate you. So whatever you come in with today, my prayer is that you leave and you head out to holidays with your family with an attitude of excitement and anticipation for what is ahead. And some of you will require spiritual, supernatural intervention for that. So let's go ahead and pray for that. God, I thank you so much for today. I thank you for the gift of motherhood. I thank you for these moms here in Austin, and I thank you for every online mom watching. God, I thank you for the children you've blessed us with. I thank you for the extended families that we will get to see during the holidays. I ask right now, God, that you do something only you can do, that you settle our hearts, you settle our minds, and you open our eyes and ears to see and hear what you want us to see and hear about celebrating. In Jesus' name. And everybody said, Amen. Now, at church, at Lake Hills Church, we do get very excited about Christmas. It's no secret around here that Julie is very excited about Christmas. So one of the staff guys, a young man on our staff, said, Julie, why do you love Christmas so much? And I had to stop and think, and I said, that's a really great question. Why do I love it so much? Did I come up with that on my own, or was I taught that, or is it just, extra blessing for Mac who gets to live with me? What is that? And so I began to tell him about my family growing up. I come from a long line of holiday celebrators. I come from a family that loved Christmas. I have vivid memories of my sisters and me going over to my grandparents' house in our matching Christmas nightgowns on Christmas Eve and watching the radar on TV and watching to see where Santa's sleigh was. Every single year, my dad, girls, it's not looking good. You know, it's cloudy. There are so many children, I just don't know if it's going to work this year. So, you know what? I'm so sorry. Every single year. So my sisters and I were glued to the TV, and somehow, miraculously, Santa overcame incredible odds, and so we would see that he was getting closer to Laurel, Mississippi, and we would jump in the car and drive to our house and get in bed, and there we would wake up in the morning. We would have to wait for our grandparents and great-grandparents to get there. It was like torture. It seemed to take them 3 years to get there until we could come down the stairs, and we would open our presents, and then we would go back over to my grandmother's house for a few more gifts and the same turkey, the same dressing, the same potatoes, the same broccoli casserole with Velveeta. That's right. And Ritz crackers with butter on top, and the same green beans, you know, the kind with the crispy onions on top, and the same ambrosia. Does anybody even know what ambrosia is? We had it every Christmas. And so to me, that's what Christmas was, the same, every single year. Well, then I began to think, you know, it's not the same now, because you and I both know that once everyone moves and then gets married, traditions change. And so I would love to tell y'all that I handled that adjustment with grace and poise, but I was actually quite dramatic about the adjustment, and I did not handle it well. And I came down, Mac was preaching, and so he was the preacher that would preach on the Sunday after Christmas, and so we were not able to go to Mississippi for the same turkey, the same ambrosia, the same, and so I came down Christmas morning, and I'm pretty sure my eyes were about swollen shut because I was devastated with this change in my life. And you know, then now I look back and I laugh about that, because we had the opportunity. What I saw as a problem, what I saw as he is ripping me away from my family traditions, was actually an opportunity for us to establish new traditions and our own traditions. And now that my sisters and I have all been married for over 20 years, we have a new set of holiday traditions. We all celebrate Christmas Eve at our own churches wherever we live, and we all head to my parents' house on Christmas Day. And so you race to get there because the cousins want to be the first cousins to Grandy and Shuggies. And so our tradition is everybody, whenever you get to Laurel, Mississippi, and you get to the farm, you call my parents as you enter the gate, and you say, "Grandy and Shuggie, Merry Christmas, we're here." And then by the time you get to the house, they're standing out in front like this. One year they had on matching lit up blinking light Santa hats. One year Mom had on a fur vest. Now it was probably 85 degrees. Mom had on a fur vest and boots that had fur on the top, and Dad had on, a full hat, you know, the whole gear, waving as they drove. So they have created a new tradition for us. But there's some familiar. Every year after the last cousin gets there, my dad looks at his watch. He said, "Shuggie, I don't think we're going to get to open presents this year. I think it's too late. I think we will." You see how we have new traditions, but some things never change. And he tells the kids, "Guys, Shuggie has presents, but I think it's too late. Your parents are tired. We are going to have to go to bed, and we will try to do presents in the morning." And every year, somehow, we overcome incredible odds, and we get our second wind, and we are able to open presents that night. What a fun thing to establish traditions. And I think as moms, as I've said before, we carry the torch. We set the pace for traditions in our family. And so I think it's a dance that we have to perform. We have to remember the familiar and put it in, but we also have to remain flexible. Because when you marry into another family, whether they have traditions or not, some families don't. Maybe you didn't come. Whatever it is, we now have to consider both families at the holidays. Then you start having children and you think, how can I travel with all of this stuff? So our goal as moms is to open up our minds and to see how we can remember the familiar while remaining flexible. And why? Why does it even matter that we do tradition and that we do ritual? Well, research has been done on the impact rituals and traditions make on not just the children, but the parents in a family. And studies show that there are great benefits to the repetition. I'm going to read you what I love, the definition from Meg Cox, who is the author of the book of New Family Traditions. She defines ritual. And when we talk about ritual and tradition, we're going to use them interchangeably, okay? Defines ritual as any activity you purposefully repeat together as a family that includes heightened attentiveness and something extra that lifts it above the ordinary ruts. Decorating your house. My house looks different now because I wanted to lift it above the ordinary ruts. Our meal on Thanksgiving is different than what we have every day because we want to lift it above the ordinary ruts. It's a heightened awareness of family, a heightened awareness of giving thanks, a heightened awareness of whatever you're celebrating. But what is it that makes a tradition a tradition? Because if you're in that stage where you're trying to figure out, okay, how can I bring in the familiar and be flexible, with the stage of life we're in? What is it that makes a tradition a tradition? I want to go back to that phrase. Any activity you I don't know why that is like a tongue twister. Purposefully repeat together as a family. What makes a tradition a tradition? The repetition. It's over and over and over again. The repetition, the purpose, and the people. The repetition, the purpose, and the people. Now, a ritual can be anything from how you say goodbye every time your child gets on the bus. It could be a daily ritual. It could be a weekly ritual, like family game night. It could be a weekly ritual or a monthly one, like daddy-daughter date night. Whatever it is something that is repetitious, it is on purpose, and it is with other people. It is over and over and over again. And when I think of rituals in our family, everybody talks about family dinner. Well, when our kids got to be in middle school, there was no family dinner opportunity because everyone was on a different schedule. So what we did was we changed it to family breakfast. And so we woke up everyone, whoever had to be at school first, everyone had to get up an hour before that for us to do family breakfast. And don't be thinking I cooked. Let me be very clear. I don't mean like we had, a full spread. Typically, Emily sat in the corner with her eyes closed, but with a wet towel, she had just gotten out of the shower. And Joseph would eat maybe, 3 bites of cereal with no milk on it. So please hear me when I say family breakfast every day. It was very simple, but it was our time together to connect. So it was a family ritual. At the time, Emily would tell you that she absolutely hated it. She hated the words family breakfast. She hated the concept of family breakfast. But she will say, and she would confess even then, she goes, Mom, it's probably what saved me. She said because it was the same every day, and it woke her up, and it started our day on the same page. And so whatever your family ritual is, you make it work for your family, and you make it work for your schedule. I'm in ministry. My husband is a pastor, and so I could very well tell my children, guys, I'm so sad that Dad cannot be here to celebrate Easter with us because he has to work. I'm so sorry about that. But guess what? I am the carrier of the torch. And guess who has the Easter Bunny's email address? This girl. And so I would email the Easter Bunny and I would say, could you please come to our house on Friday night, and so Dad can be with us when we hunt for eggs and when we discover our baskets. And guess what? The Easter Bunny was always willing to accommodate. It was so awesome. And so even now, we email, although the kids don't know. Yes, my children are 21 and 19, and we still, that's right, do all this. I know sometimes when I say it out loud, it's kind of embarrassing, but oh well. Too late now, I've already started. So Santa would, because Mac works and our family, Christmas Eve is a very busy time. It's a work day all day. Santa may come and surprise us and just visit our house on maybe the 22nd or 23rd. Heresy, I know, for some of you. But I wanted Mac to be able to participate. And so I'm not a victim of my husband's job. I'm not a victim of my family's schedule. I'm not a victim of the way my in-laws have done it or the way my dad thinks I should do it. Please know, he is not thrilled with the changes I've made, but that's okay because I carry the torch for my family. And this is what works for my family. And so last year, we go in, we wake up the kids. Guys, and we do the same thing every year. Guys, y'all won't believe it. Santa came. And Emily's like, Mom, y'all are so weird. And then she wakes up and she comes in, and we've called our in-laws, and we called, Nana and Neil because we were so shocked. We knew they would be shocked too. And so they come over. Guys, don't let Christmas run you. Don't let Easter or whatever the holiday is, Thanksgiving. Don't look at your calendar and be a victim of the holidays. Take charge now. You carry the torch. Make it work for you. Well, I wish it was just the four of us. Then plan something for the four of you before you get to see everybody else. Guess who gets to do that? You do. You get to do that. My husband travels. Guys, I'm so sad that Dad cannot be here. Or how about this? Oh my gosh, guys, I've got a great idea. Let's have a feast before Dad goes out of town. You see, we present it to our children. And you know what they think and feel about the holidays? What we communicate about the holidays. I carry the torch for my family. You carry the torch for your family. What a responsibility, but what a blessing. How fun when you think you're in control of how people celebrate. I love that. Okay, so we talked about how, or maybe I was supposed to talk about, but I got distracted, how traditions and rituals benefit us all. Psychologists link family ritual practices to higher achievement, happiness, emotional well-being, lower anxiety levels for both kids and the parents. Now, to be honest, we can't determine which comes first, the chicken or the egg. Is it happy, healthy families that are more likely to practice rituals and traditions? Or is it the rituals and traditions that produce the happy, healthy families? In my opinion, it doesn't really matter because my experience has been with 24 years of marriage and my immediate family and my nieces and nephews, traditions and rituals benefit all. My experience in observing other families are those families that are intentional about celebrating, that are intentional about establishing traditions, are happier, healthier, and have lower anxiety. They do not let the holidays control them. They control the holidays. Family traditions give our kids so much. They contribute to our children's identity. They contribute to our children's identity. They say you're part of a family, you're part of a bigger team, particularly if they're cultural traditions. If you come from a family that always celebrated a certain way, teach your children that they're tied to a family, that they're tied to a heritage. Maybe it's sharing stories from the past, holidays or occasions, when we sit around and family. I know last Christmas, I found myself at the end of the table with my dad, Mac, and Emily. And Mac started asking my dad about his family. And Emily learned so much. I learned so much because we took advantage of the opportunity of being there together, asking questions of the generations ahead of us. So they provide our children with identity and security. They provide our children security. It's kind of common sense that no matter what has gone on in your world, no matter how a teenager feels day in and day out at school, the familiarity, the repetition of the tradition brings security to their lives. One of our jobs is to create a home in which our children feel safe emotionally and safe physically. And the repetition of the holidays coming every year, the repetition of the traditions with some flexibility, we do understand, provides security, communicates safety and consistency for our children. It also gives our kids a sense of community. Whether it's 2 people, 3 people, or 23 people, whether it's real family or friends who are like family, the holidays are an opportunity for a group of people to gather, for a child to learn, these people are people that cheer me on. That doesn't hurt anyone. Even crazy Aunt Cuckoo, can be a fan of your child. And your child can learn that she loves me. She's cheering me on. These people want me to be here. And these people want to be here with me. That's not bad for anyone, a sense of community. And finally, also give your kids affinity. Sharing an experience, a meal, or a holiday, it brings people together. I always think about no matter what drama we've had over the year, whenever we gather at Thanksgiving, whenever we gather at Christmas to celebrate together, it's actually therapeutic sometimes, and it's healing to get together and to laugh and tell stories again. To be sure, every family has dysfunction. And I'm not pretending that every holiday is peachy if you just go into it with a good attitude. No, for sure not. You walk in going, okay, God, you know what? I trust you that I'm supposed to be here. And today, can you show me someone that I need to talk to? Can you show me how to interact with this family member? How can I love her today? How can I love him this year? Change your perspective. Hey, it's not about you anyway. Okay, big news, not about you. What if you went into the holidays instead of thinking this is so inconvenient for me, that hey, this is an opportunity for me? Shift your thinking and perhaps open your mind up to having affinity for the people in there. This is what I'm going to give you a few tips about celebrating together and establishing some family traditions. And as I said before, remember the familiar, but remain flexible. It's just so important. Stages of life will change. Sometimes we get so tied to tradition that we can't even stomach the possibility of things being different. Open your mind up. You can do both. You can change and you can remember the familiar at the very same time. As I told you, our traditions have changed many times over the years. There have been times where we couldn't get to Laurel, Mississippi. And you know what? That's okay. I survived. Who knew, that we could make it? Who knew that they could live it without us? But they did, and everybody was just fine. This year, okay, I'll give you a great example. My Thanksgiving, my whole life, same turkey, we did the same meal. And of course, I'm from the deep South. So not only did we have turkey, we had ham, we had everything they'd shot. So we had quail, we had dove, we had duck, we had, that's what we do in the South. We eat every meat possible. And so then I get married. I go to Mac's mom's house for Thanksgiving. It was Mac's mom and Mac and his 2 brothers and me and his grandparents. And it was a turkey breast. I was like, where's all the meat? And guess what? That's tradition to me now. 25 years later, guess what I look forward to on Thanksgiving Day? And it wasn't that way at first. But when I opened my mind, God opened my heart. You open your mind to embracing your husband's family's holiday traditions, and I can promise you, God will open your heart. That is my tradition now. My tradition is my mother-in-law's rosemary turkey, my mother-in-law's dressing, my mother-in-law's sweet potatoes. After years, it was familiar. What was familiar, I had to let go of, and I had to embrace the flexible. But be honest with yourself. This is so important. As you establish your new traditions, and you guys are in stages, a lot of you, where you're shifting your traditions and you're trying to figure out how to please everybody. And that's not always easy. So be honest with yourself and with others about your family's capacity. Don't overcommit. Be honest about your time capacity, your financial capacity, and your energy capacity. Don't overdo and don't overcommit. Be okay with saying, you know what, guys, is it okay if we do dinner at 4:30? That's okay. Ask, be assertive, but be flexible. Don't expect the rest of the family to understand your stage. That's okay that they don't. Don't get upset that they don't get where you are. They don't live with you. So don't be surprised when they don't understand your schedule. You be confident, you be content in your capacity, and you say, is it possible? If they say no, go with the flow. You did the best you could. If your child cries the whole time, that's on them. Be honest with yourself and others about your family's capacity. Be intentional about the time of day you schedule your meal and the length of time you commit to. Okay, if you've had drama with your extended family, if there are a lot of difficult personalities, I would discourage a 2-week trip. I mean, it's up to you. You make that call. But, maybe you should consider, I would like to love everyone at the end of the holiday too. And so what is your family's capacity? I know with ours, we had to say, if we go more than 3 days, then all of the children, because we have cousins at different ages, we will do bedtime on time. We cannot be in vacation mode for an entire 5 days, or the children will, kill each other by the end of the trip. We established that. And we had to be okay with, I remember saying to my sisters, because it's hard when you gather and everybody has different discipline. I know some of you are nodding and some of you want to cry right now. I know. I have 2 sisters and we're very close, and the boys were all within 18 months. So they're all at the very same stage. Yes, that was interesting. And so everybody's married, everybody. Well, here's the deal. I have to be so content in my capacity. It's not my business how she disciplines. It's just not. And that's okay. I'm not going to judge her, and she's not going to judge me. I had to say to my sisters, okay, guys, when we all gather, you do you, I'll do me. And we have to cheer each other on, okay? You do you, I'll do me. My sister was like, Julie, do you think this is a balanced meal? She was giving her kid like avocado and all this stuff. I'm like, Joseph ate Cheetos for breakfast, okay? So I'm trying to count that as dairy, vegetable, and protein. And I'm thinking we're doing pretty good, And so you have to be okay with each other. And you have the opportunity to cheer another mom on. Maybe instead of worrying about her discipline, you can encourage her. Maybe instead of worrying, you can say, hey, you know what? No better compliment to give a mom than, I love being with your kid. Your kid, no better compliment. Look for that opportunity. Now, if the kid is really, I don't know, having some issues, I don't mean you need to lie. Okay. Be honest, but look for an opportunity to encourage the other moms with whom you gather. Okay, this one, guys, I feel pretty strongly about. And I don't know how to say it with that, because I know there are exceptions. Let me give that caveat. But more than likely, you're not an exception. Okay, when I give the caveat, there are exceptions. All of you who don't want to do this are like, well, I'm obviously one of the exceptions, so I don't have to do it. So I'm going to say it, and I don't want you to consider yourself an exception yet, okay? Respect your elders. Respect your elders. Yes, draw boundaries, and your job is to protect your nuclear family. But our responsibility is to honor our parents and our husband's parents, and to speak honor about them to our children. If we say we have to go to grands, how do our children feel? We say, oh my gosh, guys, get in the car. It's time to go see grand. Okay? Honor your elders. I promise you, in the long run, you will reap a harvest of that. Yes, protect your nuclear family. Draw healthy boundaries. Set yourself up for a win. I did not say respect your elders. You should spend a month with them. No, you do what you believe that is best for your family, but please consider them. Invite them into your holidays. Look, this is coming from somebody who I know my stage of life is changing. And it's very possible that my children are going to marry somebody from South Carolina and never come, never be able to come back. I have to be okay with that. My prayer is that they want us to be part of their holidays. And so more than likely, your parents and grandparents, and that they want to be included. Remember the elders in your family. Consider everyone else. I already said that. And don't expect everyone to automatically, don't be mad that they don't get where you are. She doesn't understand my stage of life. Well, how on earth is she supposed to understand your stage of life? Did you understand your stage of life until you got there? Probably not. Give them some grace. Remember our talk about give some grace and run your own race? It's okay, guys. Love them where they are. Respect them. If you have little ones, I would encourage you to take snacks, do what you need to do. We are so awesome about setting routines for our families, and I love that. But maybe you can open your mind to a couple of days of flexibility so that the grandparents can enjoy the kids too. And so be assertive and confident, but considerate and flexible. And don't feel guilty when it doesn't go as you planned. Don't feel guilty. And that goes with Halloween. That goes with Thanksgiving. That goes with family breakfast or Christmas. Don't feel guilty. Do what you can do right now. Your children will remember your countenance and how they felt more than they remember anything else. They'll remember the feelings of Christmas. Do you know that my children remember things? Remember how we always blah, blah, blah? We probably did it once. But it was so fun that in their memory, we always did it. One of their favorite memories was, if you look at my house now, I'm an empty nester, and I don't have any real puppies right now. So my tree is actually standing. It's not tethered to the wall. It's not smushed in the corner. We can have a legit tree now that we're empty nesters. And so you look at it now and you go, wow, guys, the kids love to remember the time we got a tree. We did live trees. I had to prepare the children. It took me a year. I told them, I said, next year we will have an artificial tree and tears, the whole thing. I said, but you have 11 months to adjust your thinking. Okay, you can do it. You can do it. And so the year that we got the tree, that you know how when you buy the tree and it's tied up together, the live tree, and you bring it home and you wait 24 hours for the branches to fall before you put the lights on it? Well, we waited 24 hours. And we waited 48 hours. We waited 72 hours. And yeah, we had Charlie Brown's Christmas tree. Not only did we not get ornaments on it, we never got lights on it. I'm pretty sure it leaned against the wall the entire holiday. That's one of the kids' favorite memories. One of their favorite memories. Remember that year we had that tree and the branches never fell down? See, they remember my face. They remember how I responded to it. I'm sure to Mac, I was like, you picked out a horrible tree. But at least in front of the children, I acted like this was so hysterical. They remember how they felt. They remember how they feel. The time that, the years that I got, lights on the tree and no ornaments. The boxes of ornaments were by the tree. They don't care. They don't remember that. They're so happy they didn't have to wrap them back up, That they remember how they felt. So don't feel guilty. Do what you can do. If all you can do is draw a Christmas tree on a piece of paper and stick it on the fridge, you just sing "Oh Christmas Tree" and everybody sing around. Do what you can do so that you can stay thankful at Thanksgiving and joyful at Christmas. Do what you can do to remain thankful and joyful, because it's not about how you celebrate. The truth is, it's not about how. Your traditions will change. Your years will change. Your circumstances will change. It's not about how. It's all about who. It's not about how. It's all about who. It's the who you're with, and it's the who you're celebrating. We're celebrating God at Thanksgiving, the fact that He has blessed us with so much. We're celebrating the birth of the Messiah at Christmas. By all means, Don't let a crooked tree get you distracted. One year I had to tether, this is kind of funny as I was thinking about it, the extent to which I went. I had fishing line nailed to the wall, and I pulled it and wrapped it around the tree because we had a crooked trunk. And I was bound and determined. I'm sure the tree fell over every time somebody walked by it. I mean, it's comical, the hours we spend, and no one ever noticed the tree except for me. And so what do they remember? The who we celebrated and the feeling that they had. My mom always tried to, as my dad got very carried away at Christmas, and boy, did he get carried away. The older the grandkids got, the more excited Dad got. And one year, Santa, well, actually the elves came to Laurel because Santa came to your house on Christmas Eve. And so whatever didn't fit on the sleigh, the elves brought to Laurel, and the elves would leave like scavenger hunt notes, and the elves were named. The children know this now. My kids are 19 and 20, and the elves are Ithic and Eoj, which is Joe and Kathy spelled backwards. Yeah, they never picked up on it. So Ithic and Eoj would leave things, and they would leave, and Mom had little elf hats made, and so the kids would look for the elf hats, and then the elves would leave something. And so, yes, I know. Why do I get excited about Christmas? I couldn't figure out why. Perhaps it's genetic. And so the elves one year left dirt bikes for everyone. Well, I mean, nobody even has anywhere to ride dirt bikes except at Mom and Dad's farm. But that was okay with Dad. He didn't care what everybody did after Christmas Day. It was all about Christmas Day for him. So helmets, the whole gear. The little girls had training wheels on their dirt bikes, but everybody had a dirt bike. So they're riding around. It's cold, so my sisters and I are sitting in the truck. And my sisters were just furious. This is ridiculous. This is the dumbest thing. Nobody's going to ride these things. And I'm looking at Dad. And I said, hey, look at Dad's face. I go, look at Dad's face. My dad, I don't even think his feet were on the ground. He was beaming. He was so excited. You know what? He came from a family. His dad was not like that. His dad did not share. He was actually, I hate to say it on video, he was not a good man. My grandfather. And my dad chooses to give. My dad chooses to share. I said, you do what you want with your kids, but I'm not taking that away from Dad. I said, that's what my children will think of Christmas, is my dad's face. And that's what I think of. And so when we talk about when we talk about including the grandparents, do what you can. Don't take that away from them. And I'm not saying, and yes, there are things that my parents have wanted to get my kids, and I'm like, okay, no. You know, that's not okay. That is past that. But if you have people in your children's lives that love them so much, that want to give them things, gosh, you know what? My dad is choosing to do that. My mom loves that. It's my responsibility to teach my children. Grandy works hard, and he chooses to share. What an opportunity for my kids to learn that. He works hard, and he chooses to share. So allow for some flexibility. Don't get so caught up in your routine and your tradition and your family that you forget the extended family. So Mom really wanted to make sure everybody remembered it was about Jesus, and I think she really wanted to remind Dad. And so she got so worried. So you know what she did? She didn't take that away from Dad. She added to the holiday. So now, every year, the kids, before we do gifts, Dad reads the Christmas story. Everybody in the room knows why we're celebrating, because as a mom, it's my responsibility to teach my children the reason for the celebration. And so we don't have to take all that away from Dad. We just added. We make sure we remind everybody, including Dad, that we're there to celebrate Jesus. And my dad every year sits with his Bible and reads the Christmas story to my children. And so what do my children remember of Christmas? Grandy's face while they're reading the story. And guess what? Grandy won't always be able to do that. So will we have to give up that tradition? No. things change. We will stay tied to the familiar. Someone else will read it. We'll be flexible, but we will remember and honor the past. That's what holiday traditions are all about. So when we celebrate, we remember. I believe that's why God commands us in the Old Testament to celebrate. I believe if you read the Old Testament and you read time and time again, God is commanding the Israelites, celebrate this festival. Remember this time with this celebration. Why did God do that? Because God knows his people best. He created us and he knows that we get distracted. He knows that we forget. The Israelites, the psalmist records, the Israelites knew after they had been delivered, they knew that it was God who delivered them. He saved them from the hand of the foe, from the hand of the enemy, he redeemed them. Talking about the Israelites after they crossed through the Red Sea, escaping Egyptian slavery. The waters covered their adversaries. Not one of them survived. Then they believed his promises and sang his praise. We know, like the Israelites did, we believe that the celebrations are to give thanksgiving to God and to celebrate Jesus' birth. They believed his promises and sang his praise. When we're in church, we're like, oh, yes, amen. Let's be thankful to God. Let's celebrate the birth. But man, we get distracted, don't we? We get distracted, and God knew that. Look, it's happened to the Israelites too, if you continue to read in Psalm. But they soon forgot what he had done and did not wait for his plan to unfold. It's kind of sad, but we do the same thing. They forgot the God who saved them, who had done great things in Egypt, miracles in the land of Haman, awesome deeds by the Red Sea. God knows his people. He commands celebration so that we do not forget. Why do we celebrate? So that we remember. We celebrate so that we remember. Now, to remember, you have to know in the first place. So it's your job to teach your kids. Thanksgiving is a time to thank God for all that he has given us. You can do all the other traditions too. Make sure you're teaching them so that they know what to remember. We celebrate so that we remember. Lord, I will remember what you did. Yes, I will remember your miracles of long ago. I will spend time. Oh, this is the important part. Do y'all have this verse in your notes? Okay, highlight this part. I will spend time thinking about everything you have done. I will consider all of your mighty acts. I will spend time thinking about everything you have done. I will consider all your mighty acts. We celebrate so that we remember. We celebrate so that we appreciate. So that we are grateful, so that we appreciate what God has done for us. We remind ourselves when we get all upset that Thanksgiving isn't going the way I wanted it to, or this is not what I had in mind for Christmas. We go, oh, you know what? It's not about the how, it's all about the who. I'm going to remind myself. I will spend time thinking about everything you have done. I will consider all of your mighty acts. When you celebrate, you remember to appreciate. So you celebrate, you remember, you celebrate so that you appreciate, and you celebrate so that you enjoy. Don't forget to enjoy the holidays. Enjoy the season your children are in. Enjoy the season your family is in. Celebrating helps us to remember. Remembering helps us to appreciate. And appreciating helps us to enjoy. It all makes sense. God's commands are there for us because it's what's best for us. Remember the who. Don't get caught up in the how. Oh, treasure the older people in your family, even if maybe sometimes they get on your nerves. Treasure them and teach your children to treasure them. Be open to new traditions. Oh, I'm so glad I remembered. We would love to hear, online moms and live moms, we would love to hear your ideas of how you celebrate. What are some rituals or some traditions? We're going to put together a list of ideas because I'm always looking for new ways to celebrate. I love to add traditions to my familiar traditions. And so if you have any tradition ideas, email your ideas, email to Julie@fearlessmom.com. Julie at fearlessmom.com. We're going to put together a list because maybe you're thinking, I didn't grow up with traditions. That's okay. Guess who carries the torch for your family? You do. You know, we can complain about the commercialization of Christmas, the commercialization of the holidays, or we can capitalize on it. We can tell our children when we go into Target, oh my word, Christmas is such a big deal that everybody celebrates. Can you tell me why we celebrate Christmas? Make it a conversation. What a Deuteronomy 6:7 opportunity it is. Don't complain about the commercialization of the holidays. Capitalize on it. Look at it as an opportunity. Yes, we celebrate big. Why do we celebrate big? For God so loved the world that he gave his only son, that whoever believes in him would not perish but would live forever. He sent Jesus to bridge the gap between us and him. It's a pretty big dadgum deal, okay? So yeah, it's okay to celebrate big. However you celebrate, what is big for you may not be big for someone else. Don't be mad that other people celebrate different from you. Give some space and give them some grace. But by all means, it's about Jesus. So remember to celebrate. Your children won't remember everything, but they will remember how they felt. It's here. The holidays are here. I hope you're ready like I am. Yes, I leave on Monday to go see my children for a week. And I'm going to close with this real quick story. It's not even a story. We were on the phone together, the three of us. Emily was home. And so we called Joseph, our 19-year-old. And for the first year, we're not going to be in Austin. For the first year in about, 18, we're not going to be with Mac's family. And so it's just going to be the four of us. And so I was a little, I thought the kids would be excited, but, it's a change. And so I was trying to incorporate the familiar. What do you guys want to do, And so we called Joseph and we were talking and Max said, hey, bud, we can't wait to see you in just a few days. And he said, guys, I've got a new board game. I'm already ready. That's right. Our 19-year-old went to Target, I guess. Emily goes, where on earth did he get a board game? But you see, because that's what we do. It's not anything elaborate. It's not anything, it's play. I'm home, I'm safe, and I like it here. And what an opportunity for the holidays to create a feeling of I'm home, I'm safe, and I like it. We won't even be in our home. We'll be in an unfamiliar, but that's okay because it's who and it's what we're celebrating. And so to Joseph, family, board game means safety and holiday. What an opportunity you have to create that for your family. I pray that you feel excited, that you feel an opportunity is before you. So let's pray. God, I thank you so much for the gift of your word. I thank you that you not only give us permission to celebrate, but you command us to celebrate. My prayer for each mom listening, for each mom watching, for every mom here, my prayer for her is that you hover over her, that you give her your peace, your joy, that you open her mind up to flexibility and new traditions, and you remind her to incorporate the familiar and old traditions. Show us how to teach our children that it's you. It is you to whom we are grateful, and it is you who we celebrate at Christmas. In Jesus' name. And everybody said, amen.